Not as smooth as I thought that would be. Not quite as smooth as that would be. Should we? Alright. Nice. Real nice. That's real. Hey. Hello, Captain Delicious. It's real nice to see you here. It was one of those days today. Saturday can be one of those days because what is left of our business, cleaning chimneys and dryer vents and such, we push off to weekends when I can get help from individuals. And because they're not, they're free from their regular jobs. And I pay those individuals some cash to help me go knock out some of these chimneys and things like that come up. This is the chimney season. So, it's not the kind of money we used to make cleaning chimneys when, I owned the van and all that stuff. But all that's been since shut down because of threats, the kind of threats that are crazy, like the kind where you show up for a job and you never come back. So nuts, right? Nuts. But yeah, so on the real tip, this is what we do. So we do that, and then I have a part-time job that I work mostly weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then occasionally at night during the week. So today was a long one, and I needed to get in the bath, but I really wanted to. The story has been on my mind, and I wanted to tell it because I thought, it's a real good story to tell. It's the kind of story that is uplifting in the end. But, it has its trials and tribulations. And so I'll get right into it. It's, back when I was in grade school, I had a friend here on the East Coast, and we'll call him Daniel. And Danny, all the way up until like junior high school, or junior in high school, real close. And, we were in lower to middle class, basically weren't quite we weren't in poverty necessarily, but right there, right at it. So we hung out with all the, the kids who would just be, essentially when we had our downtime, it was, from daybreak until nighttime, just stay going, playing football, basketball, whatever, get out of the house and stay going. And then that last summer, he was surprised by the news that his mom, single mom, so no dad around, she got a job out in California, and they were going to be able to, maybe not necessarily be rich or whatever, but at least it was a big advancement for her. Now, when they got out of California, they found out, the money was kind of kept them almost in the same spot. But if they were able to make that kind of money back here, then it would have been a different deal. But it is what it is. So he moves out to California right at the end of summer, and moves into some apartments in Reseda, I believe is where it was. And he met a kid there at the apartment complex, like right away, invited him to a beach party. And while he was at that beach party that night, I think they were playing like soccer on the beach or whatever. He saw this chick that he thought, wow, she's hot. And she kept eyeballing him. Now, Daniel's a good-looking dude. He looked like an Italian kid, and especially back in those days, you got brown hair, brown eyes, all the chicks go for you, especially when you're hanging around with a redheaded kid like me with hazel eyes, freckles, and glasses. So this girl really, she kind of, you could tell right away she had the hots for him. And they were flirting back and forth all night. And then her ex-boyfriend showed up, like comes riding down onto the beach in his motorcycle with his buddies. They were in like a little motorcycle. These individuals were in like a motorcycle gang, if it were in high school. And the unfortunate thing for Danny was that where he went to school, he was one of only 10% of the kids who went to this school were living at or below, the poverty range, where most of the kids that went to this school were living like high on the land. Their parents made a lot of money. So it was kind of a weird dichotomy for him. Anyway, these kids show up with their motorcycles, 6 individuals on their motorcycles show up, and it's this chick's ex. The girl's name is Allie, and her ex's name is Johnny. And him and his buddies were like, what's up, Allie, and all this cool stuff. You could tell he was just like wanting to mess with her and be mean. And I believe the story Daniel told me was that he took her boombox. Remember those big boom boxes? She had like a big boombox, and he took it from her or whatever. And she's like, give me back my radio, whatever, and they argued, and he like threw the radio down or something. And Daniel went over there to try to like break it apart. He's also trying to be a little bit, he's a little chauvinistic, I guess, or whatever at the time. He was going to stick up for the girl. And he's like, hey man, why don't you buzz off, leave her alone. And anyway, they got into it, and the dude gets his butt kicked. Daniel got his butt kicked by this dude. This dude knows karate. I think him and all of his the other individuals, they were all in they belonged to a karate dojo together, and so they were well versed in it. And he got his butt kicked by this dude. And that wasn't the end of it. Once school started, it was happening, quite often. It was just like stare downs in the hallway, in gym class. He was riding his, he had a bicycle, not a motorcycle, and so he was riding his bike home from school. These dudes came up on him on their motorcycle and ran him off the road and knocked him down a hill and messed him up pretty good. But all the while, he's still flirting with this girl. He really wants to date this girl, and he gets to I think it's Halloween in that junior year of high school, and they had the Halloween dance there, and he's hell bent on going because he wants to go. He wants to hang out with this girl Allie, and so he dresses as a shower, as an individual shower. Pretty cool idea. And this way it's twofold. A, he can't afford a really cool costume. They don't have any money with her, but also he won't be able to see this individual because he's a shower. And while he's there, he's in the bathroom, and he notices that he's like hiding in the bathroom in the stall because Johnny and his friends come in, and these individuals are going to get high. And Johnny's rolling the J in the stall, and his buddies they're doing the lookout for him, making sure nobody's coming. And Daniel had a great idea. He thought, I'm gonna fuck with them since they've been fucking with me. So he runs a hose around behind the stall, and then turns it on and gets Johnny all wet while he's rolling his jizzle. So you don't get another man's weed wet. That's a no-no. So they chase him out of the bathroom, chase him out of the school, all the way down to the apartments where he lives. You can't quite make it over the fence, and they whoop his ass, man. Like 5, 6 individuals just beating this individual Daniel's ass. And out of nowhere, the maintenance guy from the apartment complex, jumps in and like whoops these individuals' ass. Like by himself. He's an old man too. It's like an old Japanese guy. He comes in and whoops all these individuals' asses like by himself. Like he knows some kind of ancient karate shit. I think it's like bonsai karate or whatever. And you know, Daniel had his butt kicked, so he was almost out of it. He was like beaten within inches of his life. The maintenance guy kind of nurses him back to health, and Daniel's like, you know, what happened? He explains to him, and he's like, wait a minute, you know karate, and so anyway, Daniel convinces the maintenance guy to teach him how to play, how to be, you know, how to learn karate and shit, and you know, Daniel, like, it's an unorthodox style for Daniel. It's like different than you would learn in a dojo or whatever. It's sort of manual labor based karate. And then the Pat is his name, I believe. The individual who was the maintenance man. I think his name was Pat. Pat goes to the dojo and convinces the sensei to have his students not mess with Daniel until this tournament, which I think was the All Valley Under 18 Karate Championship is what I think it was called. And so they like, okay, we won't mess with him until the tournament. And they're all laughing like this, you know. To be quite honest, Daniel was a skinny dude, and these dudes were kind of, you know, bigger and whatnot. And so they were like, okay, whatever. He's not even gonna like make it to the last round. Well, lo and behold, Pat teaches Daniel some really cool bonsai karate, and one move in particular, I believe it was called the crane technique. That when he did actually advance to the finals against Johnny, lo and behold, against Johnny, right, of all people, he uses the crane technique on him. And that individual didn't see that coming. And Daniel beat him. And not only did he win that tournament, he won the heart of the girl. He owned the moment. And it's a great story of revenge for this individual, Daniel, to have moved out there and gone to an area where he didn't know many people and know anybody, and was trying to make friends, and then was bullied pretty hardcore, and found one person who would stand by him and teach him the ways of life in an unorthodox manner. And Daniel rose above all that, and I just think it's a testament to the type of revenge for that individual. And you know, it's something that you should take to heart. It's a story, obviously a true story. I think today, Daniel actually owns a car dealership out there, and I believe Johnny might even work for him, which is kind of crazy, you know, like they've become friends now. And I mean, they're competitive still or whatever, but what a great lesson to learn in that, you know, when the playing field was even, kind of like the good guy won, you know, good prevailed for that individual. And I think it's a great story and a great lesson for all of us to think about, you know, tonight. I think it's a fantastic lesson. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to share that with you. It's a story that I know will probably, you know, you can take that story if you want to and tell it to your kids as a nice way of, you know, showing them that you don't have to take being bullied, and you don't necessarily have to go about it some horrible way or whatever, and you know, hurt somebody permanently. That you know, you too can have your heroic maintenance man who can teach you unorthodox ways of karate, and then you can plant a crane technique right across some individual's nose who has it coming. Anyway, I wanted to tell you that and let you know that tomorrow night, Scrappin and I will be back live with the podcast. There's a few things we want to address, a few people on the radar that we'd like to interview. You know who you are. And if you want to, you can get in touch with me at chimneyvent@gmail.com and or scrappingdude@gmail.com. Anyway, you're the best around, and nothing's ever gonna bring you down. You're the best around, and nothing's ever gonna bring you down.